first on softs. Best lap is a 1:09.631. The qualification session is at GT Layout in non-Sony land. Bray from Italy is P1 on softs. The race dictator from New Zealand is P8 on softs. Jason Short from New Zealand is P3 on softs. That Canadian guy from Canada is second on softs. Bray is P1 on softs. That Canadian guy from Canada is P1 up 12.55. Jason Short is provisional pole with a 1:09.727. That Canadian guy improved his P2 with a 1:09.880. 0.153 off pole. Jason Short is first up 0.13. That Canadian guy is P3 up 0.18. Jason Short is P1 up 0.35. Jason Short is provisional pole with a 1:09.531. Chris Butt from New Zealand is 7th on softs. Chris Butt improved his P5 with a 1:10.544. 1.013 off pole. Johnny Prince from New Zealand is P8 up 10.08 on softs. Wiremu is P6 up 0.57 on softs. Best lap is a 1:11.077. 1.546 off pole. Johnny Prince is P8. Johnny Prince improved his P7 with a 1:10.992. 1.461 off pole. Dave B Racing from New Zealand is 8th up 0.59 on softs. 5 minutes remaining in the session. Dave B Racing improved his 6th with a 1:10.443. 0.912 off pole. Jason Short from New Zealand is first up 0.11. Jason Short is provisional pole with a 1:09.267. Dave B Racing is P6 up 0.22. Dave B Racing improved his P5 with a 1:10.235. 0.968 off pole. Johnny Prince is 8th up 0.17. Ray is 9th up 16.37. Ray improved his 9th with a 1:12.527. 3.260 off pole. The race dictator is 3rd up 0.20. Dave B Racing is P5 up 0.32. Dave B Racing improved his P5 with a 1:09.826. 0.559 off pole. That Canadian guy is P2. Best lap is a 1:09.406. 0.139 off pole. Johnny Prince is P8. Ray is 9th on softs. Best lap is a 1:12.527. 3.260 off pole. Jason Short is provisional pole with a 1:09.201. Johnny Prince is P8. qualifying session is now in overtime. Ray is P9. Toddy Mustang from New Zealand is 4th up 0.10 on softs. Johnny Prince is 8th up 0.34. Ray is 9th up 0.76. Ray improved his 9th with a 1:11.610. 2.409 off pole. Broadcast bot is 20th on mediums. The race session is at GT Layout in non-Sony land. Jason Short is P1. That Canadian guy from Canada is 2nd on softs. 20 minutes remaining in the session. Race start. The race dictator from New Zealand is P3 on softs. That Canadian guy is 2nd. The race dictator is P3. That Canadian guy is 2nd. The race dictator is P3. That Canadian guy is P2, 0.1 behind Jason Short. The race dictator is P3, 0.3 behind that Canadian guy. That Canadian guy is P2 on softs, 0.4 ahead of the race dictator. The race dictator is 3rd, 0.6 behind that Canadian guy. That Canadian guy is P2, 0.8 ahead of the race dictator. The race dictator is 3rd, 0.9 behind that Canadian guy. That Canadian guy on lap 3 is 2nd, 0.5 behind Jason Short. The race dictator is P3, 0.5 behind that Canadian guy. That Canadian guy is second, 0.4 behind Jason Short. Jason Short was 0.9 faster last lap. The race dictator on lap 3 is P3, 0.7 behind that Canadian guy. That Canadian guy is second, 0.4 behind Jason Short. The race dictator is P3. Best lap is a 1:11.232. 1.152 off the fastest lap. That Canadian guy on lap 4 is P2, 0.2 ahead of the race dictator. The race dictator is P3 on softs, 0.1 behind that Canadian guy. Remaining in the session. That Canadian guy is second on softs, 0.3 ahead of the race dictator. The race dictator is P3, 0.3 behind that Canadian guy. That Canadian guy is P2, 0.1 ahead of the race dictator. That Canadian guy lost second to the race dictator. The race dictator is second. That Canadian guy is P3, 0.3 behind the race dictator. Toddy Mustang from New Zealand is P7 on softs battling Wiremew. Canadian guy on lap 5 is P3, 0.6 behind the race dictator. Toddy Mustang is 7th, 0.4 behind Wiremew. Toddy Mustang was 10.7 faster last lap. That Canadian guy from Canada is P3, 0.8 behind the race dictator. Wiremew is P7 on softs, 0.1 behind Toddy Mustang. That Canadian guy is P4. Best lap is a 1:10.979. 0.962 off the fastest lap. Wiremew is P7, 0.8 behind Toddy Mustang. That Canadian guy is P4. Wiremu is P7, 1.1 behind Toddy Mustang. That Canadian guy is P4, 0.5 behind Chris Budd. Chris Budd from New Zealand on lap 7 is P5 on softs, 0.2 behind Johnny Prince. Chris Budd is now P4. The race dictator on lap 8 is second, 1.0 behind Jason Short. Chris Budd on lap 7 is fourth, 0.6 behind that Canadian guy. Toddy Mustang from New Zealand is P6, 0.5 ahead of Wiremu. Minutes remaining in the session. Bray from Italy is 9th on mediums. The race dictator from New Zealand is second, 0.6 ahead of Chris Budd. Chris Budd on lap 8 is P3, 0.2 behind the race dictator. The race dictator is P2, 0.2 ahead of Chris Budd. The race dictator was 20.3 faster last lap. Chris Budd is second, 0.2 ahead of Toddy Mustang. Toddy Mustang was 4.7 faster last lap. Toddy Mustang is second, 0.4 ahead of Chris Budd. Toddy Mustang was 4.7 faster last lap. Chris Budd is third, 0.4 ahead of Johnny Prince. Johnny Prince was 1.0 faster last lap. Toddy Mustang from New Zealand is P2, 0.6 behind Jason Short. Johnny Prince from New Zealand on lap 9 is P4 on softs, 0.3 ahead of Dave B Racing. Toddy Mustang is P2, 0.3 behind Jason Short. Johnny Prince is fourth, 0.4 ahead of Dave B Racing. Toddy Mustang is second, 0.1 behind Jason Short. Toddy Mustang was 0.5 faster last lap. Chris Budd is P3, 0.3 behind Toddy Mustang. Chris Budd passed Toddy Mustang for P2. Toddy Mustang is P3 on softs, 0.3 ahead of Johnny Prince. Johnny Prince is fourth, 0.1 ahead of Dave B Racing. Johnny Prince lost P4 to Dave B Racing. Toddy Mustang is third, 0.4 behind Chris Budd. Chris Budd is third battling Toddy Mustang. Chris Budd was 2.9 faster last lap. Dave B Racing from New Zealand is fourth on softs, 0.6 behind Chris Budd. Toddy Mustang is P2, 0.4 ahead of Chris Budd. Chris Budd is P3, 0.7 behind Toddy Mustang. 5 minutes remaining in the session. Dave B Racing is P4, 0.8 ahead of Johnny Prince. Toddy Mustang is P2, 0.3 ahead of Chris Budd. Chris Budd on lap 11 is P3, 0.2 ahead of Dave B Racing. Toddy Mustang is second. Best lap is a 1:09.680. 0.038 off the fastest lap. Chris Budd is P3, 0.3 ahead of Dave B Racing. Toddy Mustang is second. Dave B Racing is fourth, 0.7 behind Chris Budd. Toddy Mustang is second on softs, 0.3 behind Jason Short. Dave B Racing is P4, 0.7 behind Chris Budd. Dave B Racing was 0.7 faster last lap. Toddy Mustang is P2, 0.2 behind Jason Short. Dave B Racing is P4, 0.4 behind Chris Budd. Toddy Mustang is second, 0.6 behind Jason Short. The Race Dictator is fifth, 0.2 behind Johnny Prince. Toddy Mustang on lap 13 is P2, 0.9 behind Jason Short. race dictator is P5. Best lap is a 1:09.642. 0.149 off the fastest lap. Toddy Mustang is P2 on softs, 1.0 behind Jason Short. Wiremu on lap 14 is P6, 0.2 behind Johnny Prince. Wiremu is now 5th. Toddy Mustang is P2, 0.9 behind Jason Short. Chris Butt is P6. Best lap is a 1:10.515. 1.022 off the fastest lap. Toddy Mustang is P2 on softs, 1.2 behind Jason Short. Chris Butt is 6th, 1.0 behind Wiremu. Jason Short from New Zealand on lap 15 is first on softs, 1.3 ahead of Toddy Mustang. The leader has just finished the race. Jason Short finished P1. Toddy Mustang finished 2nd. Dave B Racing finished P3. The race dictator finished P4. Chris Butt is P5. Chris Butt finished P5. That Canadian guy finished P6. Wiremu finished P7. Johnny Prince finished P8. Bray finished 9th. Broadcast bot is 10th. The race session is at GT Layout in non-Sony land. Bray from Italy is first on softs. 20 minutes remaining in the session. Race start. Johnny Prince from New Zealand is second on softs. is third on softs. Chris Budd from New Zealand is fourth on softs. Wiremu is third. Chris Budd is fourth. Chris Budd lost P4 to that Canadian guy. That Canadian guy from Canada is third on softs, 0.3 ahead of Chris Budd. Wiremu is 8th, 1.0 behind Jason Short. The race dictator exiting pits on softs. Wiremu is now 7th. Johnny Prince is 2nd, 0.8 behind Bray. Chris Budd is P4, 0.9 behind that Canadian guy. That Canadian guy is P3, 0.5 ahead of Chris Budd. Johnny Prince is P2, 0.3 ahead of that Canadian guy. That Canadian guy is P3, 0.1 behind Johnny Prince. Jason Short from New Zealand is fourth on softs, 0.1 behind that Canadian guy. Jason Short passed that Canadian guy for third. That Canadian guy is fourth, 0.3 behind Jason Short. Jason Short is P3, 0.9 behind Chris Budd. That Canadian guy is fourth, 0.3 ahead of Dave B Racing. Jason Short is P3, 0.2 behind Chris Budd. Jason Short was 1.2 faster last lap. Chris Budd is P3, 0.1 behind Jason Short. Chris Budd lost 5th to Toddy Mustang. That Canadian guy is P3, 0.3 behind Jason Short. 15 minutes remaining in the session. Dave B Racing from New Zealand is P4 on softs, 0.6 ahead of Toddy Mustang. Dave B Racing lost 4th to Toddy Mustang. That Canadian guy is 3rd, 0.6 behind Jason Short. Race Dictator from New Zealand is P6 on softs, 0.6 behind Dave B Racing. Toddy Mustang from New Zealand is P4 on softs, 1.0 behind that Canadian guy. The Race Dictator is P6, 0.5 behind Dave B Racing. That Canadian guy on lap 5 is P3, 0.9 behind Jason Short. Toddy Mustang is P4, 0.7 behind that Canadian guy. The Race Dictator is P6, 0.6 behind Dave B Racing. Toddy Mustang from New Zealand is 4th, 0.6 behind that Canadian guy. Jason Short is P2, 1.0 behind Bray. Toddy Mustang is P4, 0.6 behind that Canadian guy. Jason Short is P2, 0.6 behind Bray. Bray is 2nd. Best lap is a 110.329. 0.926 off the fastest lap. That Canadian guy is 3rd, 0.4 behind Bray. Bray is 2nd, 0.1 ahead of that Canadian guy. That Canadian guy is P3, 0.4 behind Bray. Bray is P2, 0.4 ahead of that Canadian guy. That Canadian guy is P3, 0.6 behind Bray. The Race Dictator is 5th, 1.1 ahead of Toddy Mustang. Bray is P2, 0.3 behind Jason Short. 10 minutes remaining in the session. That Canadian guy from Canada is 2nd, 0.2 ahead of Bray. That Canadian guy lost 6th to wire muted. Toddy Mustang is P4, 0.1 ahead of Chris Budd. Chris Budd was 24.8 faster last lap. Toddy Mustang lost fourth to Chris Butt. Chris Butt is fourth, 0.3 behind Wiremute. Toddy Mustang is fifth. Best lap is a 1:09.403. Chris Butt from New Zealand is P4, 0.6 ahead of Toddy Mustang. Toddy Mustang is P5, 0.2 behind Chris Butt. Chris Butt on lap 9 is P5, 0.1 behind Toddy Mustang. Chris Butt was 0.9 faster last lap. Toddy Mustang is fourth, 0.4 ahead of Chris Butt. The Race Dictator is seventh, 2.0 behind Johnny Prince. Wiremute is P4, 0.3 behind Toddy Mustang. The Race Dictator is P7, 2.0 behind Johnny Prince. Wiremute is fourth, 0.6 behind Toddy Mustang. The Race Dictator is seventh, 1.2 behind Johnny Prince. The Race Dictator passed Johnny Prince for P6. Wiremute is P4, 0.7 behind Toddy Mustang. Toddy Mustang is third, 1.1 ahead of Wiremute. Wiremute is P4, 0.9 behind Toddy Mustang. Toddy Mustang is third, 1.0 ahead of Wiremute. Dave B Racing is P2. Best lap is a 1:09.831. 0.665 off the fastest lap. 5 minutes remaining in the session. Wiremute is P4, 1.5 behind Toddy Mustang. Toddy Mustang from New Zealand is third, 0.5 ahead of Chris Butt. Toddy Mustang is now second. Toddy Mustang is now P3. The Race Dictator is P6. The Race Dictator is now 6th. The Race Dictator is now 6th. Chris Budd is P5, 0.4 behind Wiremute. Dave B Racing is P2, 0.3 ahead of Toddy Mustang. Toddy Mustang is P3, 0.5 behind Dave B Racing. Dave B Racing is second. Toddy Mustang is third. Chris Budd is P5, 0.2 behind Wiremute. Toddy Mustang is third, 0.3 behind Dave B Racing. Chris Budd is fifth on softs, 0.3 ahead of the Race Dictator. Toddy Mustang on lap 13 is third, 0.6 behind Dave B Racing. The Race Dictator is P6, 0.2 behind Chris Budd. Toddy Mustang is P3, 0.4 behind Dave B Racing. The Race Dictator is P8, 0.3 behind Johnny Prince. Mustang is P3 on softs, 0.2 behind Dave B Racing. Toddy Mustang passed Dave B Racing for second. Dave B Racing is third, 0.2 behind Toddy Mustang. Wiremute is fourth, 0.6 behind Dave B Racing. That Canadian guy is P7, 0.3 behind Chris Budd. Chris Budd was 0.6 faster last lap. That Canadian guy passed Chris Budd for 6th. Jason Short is first, 1.7 ahead of Toddy Mustang. The leader has just finished the race. Toddy Mustang finished P1. Jason Short finished 2nd. Wiremu finished P3. Dave B Racing finished P4. Bray finished 9th. Johnny Prince finished P5. That Canadian guy finished 6th. The Race Dictator finished 7th. Chris Butt finished P8. Broadcast bot is 10th.